a Playlist original.
Hey, what's up? It's your host, Torry, and who is ready to be petty? Welcome back to another episode of our TVP. I was going to say ready to be petty again. Off to a roaring start, you guys. But welcome back. So glad you're here. I have such a fun episode in store. I talked to Sammy from the It's Become a Whole Thing podcast. I had her co-host Emily Rose on a few months ago, and spoiler alert, she'll be back at the end of May. So I hope you enjoy today's episode. Just a few housekeeping things before we get into the meat and potatoes of it all. I am going to give some episode updates on the Blac Chyna versus the Kardashian case and the Lindsay Lohan podcast and my Met Gala predictions. So stick around to the end of the episode just for like some more up-to-date things. I think I've said this, but I usually record the episode early in the week, and sometimes, you know, things change midweek. So I want to just include like my most up-to-date thoughts. So you'll hear those at the end of the episode. And I am recording an episode with Kelly from the Boobies and Newbies podcast. She was on my pod last year. She covers romance novels, but also loves reality TV and pop culture. If you have any questions or comments for us, or if you want us to cover like books or anything, let me know at our TBP podcast, slide into my DMs, or leave us a voicemail on SpeakPipe. We record May 2nd. This comes out May 1st. So, you know, if you're in those, that small percentage of our TBP listeners that listen day of, God bless your soul. And yeah, slide into those DMs. Last thing, or two things I wanted to say. One, just thank you. I feel like I have been feeling a little bit like unseen. Is that a word? I don't know. Like just not appreciated, but like just a little bit lost in like work, and I live alone and I haven't been able to see my friends as of recent, but like I can always count on you all to like DM me your thoughts or say that you liked the episode or like laugh along with me. And I just appreciate it so much. And I know I don't say that every episode, but I truly mean it. I want to do some type of like merch or something to celebrate you all, to celebrate our TBP's 100 episodes coming up in July. So again, if you have any ideas for that, you know where to find me. Okay, I think it's time to get to the show. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Sammy. I'm back with a very special guest. Sammy P from It's Become a Whole Thing is here. Sammy, how are you?
I'm great. It's a beautiful sunny day, so I'm feeling the vitamin D. How are you feeling after your brunch?
Yes. Oh my gosh, the same. I was like, the birds are chirping, the sun is out. I'm a different person than who I was last week.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like as Canadians, like, because we get such distinct seasons, I just feel like seasonal depression is rampant.
Oh yeah, nobody's getting the required D. And I wanted to
No, we're not.
I wanted to ask you what you had for brunch at your special brunch. I don't know.
Yes. Like the one time I had a social occasion on a weekend, I had like delicious French toast and British like banger sausages. Before we hit record, Sammy and I were talking about how brunch is such a cultural, I feel like people don't get it. It's a cultural phenomenon for the Victoria and Vancouver area, which is where I live. But like, I feel like people listening to this will be like, okay, like brunch is popular everywhere. But like, it's like an institution. Like it's what you do on the weekends. And when the pandemic hit, I feel like we had, like, it was such a tough time for our city because that's just, there's loads of brunch places. And like, I even have a local book that's called, I think First We Brunch, and it's just about brunch places in Victoria.
Yeah, I was just in Vancouver for Easter weekend visiting with my dad and stepmom, and we like arrived and my dad was already starving and he's like, oh, we're just gonna go to Jam. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I was like, it's great, like maybe we'll get in. And then it was like a 4-part line, like wrapping around the whole block, and it looked like to be a 2-hour wait, and they didn't take reservations. And I was like trying to break it to him, and then like we looked for a few other places and it was just line up. And I was like, I know it seems ridiculous, but like we had to go to L Furniture Warehouse.
Oh yeah, classic. Oh my god, that's so funny. Yeah, you definitely have to like map it out. And like nowadays I like won't stand in a line for 2 hours like I would in university. So now I like only go to places that will take reservations.
Yeah, I'm a reservation hoe through and through.
Oh, me too. Because I'm old. Like I have to like eat at a certain time and I don't want to stand.
I expect the VIP treatment. I need to be escorted in, like straight to my table. My knees hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and I'm learning a little bit about you. Do you live in BC? I thought you were in Quebec.
No, so I live in the interior of BC in the Kootenays, and Emily used to live here and then she moved back. So now the pod is kind of like our way of like staying in close touch and like gossiping weekly.
Okay, I love that so much. I've never been where you are.
Yeah, it's a great place to visit.
So tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and the podcast that you co-host with Emily, the aforementioned Emily.
Yeah, so Emily got famous on TikTok and then started a pod and brought me along as her bestie / co-host. And we do a Patreon episode every single week together and a main feed episode now and then. She also has other guests. Yeah, there's not much too exciting about me. I just have like a regular job outside of this.
Me too.
Yeah, I work at a youth center. I've used to work in politics, and I've worked on like a film set before as a producer. I love to like quit jobs every year and try something different because of my ADD.
Okay, now it's like, this is why you and Emily are a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
I love that. That's super cool. I wish I had that like chutzpah. I feel like I am just like such an anxious person that like I would stay in a job till I died.
You like the security. Yeah, I've got some friends, like one of my friends has been working for the government since he was 18, and like he loves, you know, obviously the pension, the benefits, the security. Like it's dope. I'm for it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe one day we'll see, but I love that about you. And on your pod, you talk about we have a lot of crossover, but I feel like you both get like really into like the facts and like all of the itty bitty details about even like some of the darker sides of Hollywood and pop culture and celebrity gossip and stuff. I feel like I'm kind of try to keep it a little light, and people are probably like, last week you just talked about like abortions and stuff, but it's like it's so nice listening to you both weekly just do deep dives on people that I want to hear about.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a constant back and forth between us because I feel like I'm a bit of a ghoul, so I love to get like into the deep dark details, like and Emily is more likes to keep it light. But we're not afraid to go there if we have to. Like we took on Hillsong and the Bieber, and we were like,
yes,
if we do this, we're gonna have to go in and
Yes, totally. That's what I mean exactly. Like, I would love to touch on Hillsong and Justin Bieber, but it's like, you're right. You have to dedicate like a full episode. You could honestly dedicate a whole podcast like series on that because there's so many intricacies where I'm like, oh, let's talk about something for 10 minutes and then move on.
Yeah, I love both. I love just what's like the update, the news, what's going on, and then I love like obsessing over something and investigating it and like trying to be like, what is not being talked about. And like I feel like with TikTok and with everything entertainment wise, like things can get boiled down into such small tidbits sometimes.
Yes.
That it's like you can miss the point of what is at hand. So
totally. Yeah. Our fave, I know, at Kardashian_colloquium was discussing that on her Instagram today about how yeah, everything is distilled down into such digestible bites, which is good in some ways, but sometimes you miss, like, it's such black and white thinking and kind of like that mob mentality type of thing that sometimes, yeah, you miss the point.
Yeah. And I feel like the celebrity news cycle right now is like today, like this week is like getting pretty toxic for me, and I've had to like check out a little bit from it. Like the trials, the abuse, like it's been pretty dark, and yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but that's something that people could really stand to just take a step back and wait for all the facts.
100%. Yeah, I don't need the hot takes on the like Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing.
Like we're 3 days into a 6-7 week trial. Like,
yeah,
it's too early for hot takes. It's way too early.
100%. So today we're going to talk about a lot of fun things. I feel like this episode came together. I was like, what do you want to talk about? Because yes, I'm avoiding the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard stuff. So I'm like, what else could we talk about? But we're going to talk about the Kardashians and the versus Blac Chyna court case. And then we're going to talk about Lindsay Lohan's new dating show that was suggested by a listener. And the Met Gala is next week, and this episode premieres, I think, the day before. So we're going to memorialize some predictions and see maybe if they come true. Then, of course, Sammy's going to nominate a Pettyweight Champion of the Week and share her This Week in Petty story. Let's dive into the Kardashians court case. So I feel like, honestly, this came out of nowhere. I feel like I heard that Blac Chyna was suing the Kardashian family a while ago. Almost, it feels like years ago at this point. And then it has finally gone to trial. And we've seen the court drawings from hell, honestly.
I kind of like them.
Which we'll talk about. But just like some of the upfront, if you haven't been following this, the gist of it is that Blac Chyna sued Kris Jenner, Kim Kardashian, Khloe Kardashian, and Kylie Jenner over the cancellation of her reality show Rob & Chyna for $108 million in lost earnings. So basically, she's alleging that they had signed a deal for season 2, but the Kardashian family put a kibosh on that with E because of their relationships with E. And the Kardashians are saying, no, Blac Chyna and Rob were together. That was the premise of the show. They broke up in between season 1 and filming for season 2. So obviously it would get canceled. Right off the bat, what do you think about that?
Oh my gosh, so much. I mean, like you said, it's interesting that Rob and E were not named in the suit, and Kourtney and Kendall also skated by. So like,
yes, I was like, fucking classic Kourtney and Kendall. Like, of course they're not in any of this because they're not anywhere in the Kardashian dealings.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how she thought she had a case. If you think someone told someone to fire you and then they did, like, you can sue for lost earnings. But then the case has just unfolded in such a messy way that she's made herself look so much worse than before. Like, I didn't know the stuff that's come out in this case. Oh my God. I didn't know it was that bad between her and Rob.
Me too. We're going to get into some of the details, and just like a content warning, we are going to talk about some like domestic violence-y type things. Yes, I low-key kind of remember in the tabloids in 2016, because this is kind of when this was all unfolding. I kind of remember the TV thing, like her smashing the TV and the gingerbread house. And I do remember on Rob's Snapchat, and I feel like this is such a throwback. You know where I'm going with this. He, which this is so unhinged if you think about it. He recorded their shared apartment or house or whatever, and it was just like completely empty, and she had taken everything, like even like the food in the fridge. he was like not live on Soundtrack, but making Snapchat stories about it. It was wild.
I actually completely forgot about that, and then you unlocked it for me just now. It was like freshly vacuumed, and I remember him going around being like, it's empty, she smashed the TV. It was kind of like Ron from Jersey Shore also made similar videos being like, oh, my ex did this and that, and she left me and stuff. So yeah, I forgot how messy Rob was on Instagram and Snapchat.
Totally, because he's just disappeared, like literally probably since this. So for 5 or 6 years now, he's hasn't been in the news or like barely even seen. He's like a recluse, which is kind of sad to like live your life that way. But yeah, all of these details are coming out and more, and it's been wild. So they had broken up, and apparently Blac Chyna had written in a document that they had parted ways, but now she's saying that the signature is hers, but she didn't write it. So like I guess she's kind of accusing them of like forging documents. Like, do you think that there was kind of like something shady going on with the Kardashians?
I don't know if it's just that the Kardashians have better lawyers than Blac Chyna does, but from what I've been reading, like this lawyer showed February 2017 text from Chyna to Rob after they split, being like, "It's over. You're a fat bitch. Disgusting. You have disgusting. What is it? Disgusting sex is horrible."
Oh my God.
And so that said, these texts came on the same day that executives were still trying to save the show, but before the deadline to renew came up, Chyna filed a restraining order against Rob. So if before they were even renewed or the deadline had come up and she filed a restraining order, like obviously they're not together. Obviously they can't film together. I don't know what happened between them to get that restraining order, but like if she's trying to prove that they were like together and a happy couple, like I don't think, obviously you can't have someone forge a restraining order for you, you know?
Yeah, so she did file for a restraining order, and it's like, yeah, you can't also film a TV show if you have a restraining order in place.
It's just, I guess for her case, she has to prove that like we were a healthy, happy couple and it was you guys
Yeah.
that canceled our show. But like, I don't think that's going to be possible to prove.
Yeah. Do you think that this is one of the first instances that we're seeing kind of the evil side of Kris Jenner's management tactics? She texted the showrunner, "We need to ditch this bitch."
Yeah, I mean that text is it doesn't make her look good, that's for sure. I feel like I've seen the evil side of Kris many times over the years.
Yes, yeah.
And even in like the most recent episode where she just is like where she's on the tarmac at the airport and she just starts screaming to no one in particular, "Close the trunk, close the trunk."
I am shocked that they let that go to air.
It's just one of those small moments that shows you someone's character, that they think
100% that you have the fucking gall to yell at your chauffeur to shut the trunk.
yeah, like they don't know his name, and Khloe has to be like, "Sir, can you shut the trunk? Like, I'm sorry," like it just shows like everyone that isn't them is like just like trash. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're totally right. And then like for the fact that it was literally just a call to Travis to discuss Kourtney's engagement too.
Yeah, like I thought it was gonna be something so serious and stressful that she was like acting
under
out
duress.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I was like, oh God, like maybe this is the Blac Chyna stuff, or maybe it's part of the sex tape stuff, or like there's something that is making her act this rude and dismissive. But no, it was to discuss the like fucking Malibu location for Travis's, in my opinion, fake engagement, because I am still saying that they got engaged before that privately.
Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, they were obviously so like, we're gonna get married as soon as we can. Like, it's not like it was a surprise engagement. They are so obsessed with each other.
Yes. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're totally right. So my guest on the episode that just came out today, so now when you're listening to this, it'll be a week past, Bailey was saying that it's wild to see how this has gone to court and they haven't settled. And maybe that's why I'm just like, oh, this is so interesting that we're seeing the Kardashians in court and seeing kind of the inner workings of their company, because usually I'm sure they've been sued before, but they all settle outside of court.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've got a really powerful legal team. And obviously, Kim has some legal knowledge herself. So she's feeling empowered. And like, I think they were like, can we win this case outright and not have to pay her a dime? And they all thought yes. And I agree. I think they're going to win this case, like, and not have to settle. So, and I think it, you know, is a principle thing. Like they really probably hate Blac Chyna and don't want to give her a penny. And yeah, I mean, so far they're winning, like in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like the Kardashians, like, not that I want them necessarily like to suffer in life, but just like, yeah, you're right. This like the way that they're talking to people and like, I don't know. I just feel like they get no backlash or just like,
Yeah, it's hard. I don't like exactly root for the Kardashians.
exactly.
So it's like I'm sure many people have like more substantial cases against them that are like more in the right, you know, that I wish could get what's coming to them. But like having this drug out in court and having like to hear Blac Chyna admit, like, yeah, I did like put a gun to his head and wrap a cord around.
She is totally in the wrong too. 100%.
Yeah, in this case, like, yes. And like she's also been like clowned on recently when she like posted like I've had to sell a couple of my cars and I don't get any child support and like blah blah blah. And then like both her baby daddies were like,
yeah, Tyga and Rob.
They said I pay for everything and I have my kids 5 to 6 days a week. Like,
yeah,
I didn't realize she didn't have primary custody. Like she's just digging like a hole for herself, unfortunately, I think.
100%. Yeah, so I don't want to get into like the nitty gritties, but you're right. There is accusations of abuse that Blac Chyna wrapped an iPhone cord around Rob's neck, held an unloaded gun to his head, hit him with a metal pole when she was intoxicated, and she said it was all done jokingly, but Chris said it was like attempted murder. And then we discussed about how she smashed the TV. Allegedly, she also smashed a chair into the windshield of his car. So really, there is no winners in this case.
No, I just think it's kind of funny how her lawyer described like the gun and like cord night as a raucous and flirty time.
Yeah,
I was like, oh gosh, holding the gun, unloaded gun to someone's head, that sure is raucous. Like I would, it's like, guys, it's something that should never be done.
Yeah, 100%. And to even allege that that's flirty or like sexy or anything at all, like, is absolutely disgusting.
No, people accidentally got shot that way all the time.
100%. There was also an interesting detail about this, of something that it was revealed in this case, was that Blac Chyna and Rob were both making $92K per episode in 2016. Wow. What did you think of that?
I mean, what a sweet gig. Like, I see why she's pissed that she lost it, but like, damn, I mean, she couldn't keep the showmance with Rob going for 2 seasons. Like, I guess she must have really hated him. I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. It's tons of money, especially in 2016. So I could see why she would be mad that season 2 was canceled. But again, I think it's pretty established that they weren't in a relationship by the time that they were going to be filming. So I mentioned it before, but the courtroom drawings, I feel like, have been getting so much buzz on the internet, just because I feel like, again, it's like one of the only times we see them in a light where there's like no Photoshop and stuff like that is in these fucking paintings.
That's so funny. I mean, I love the drawings. I think it looks just like Roald Dahl's The Witches, you know, like.
Yes, I've seen that.
They look like they're turning into those witches with like, you know, and they're like, the claws are going to come out and stuff. And I think that they're kind of awesome. And I've seen online that people don't know which one's Kim and which one's Kylie. I think I know, but I'm not sure. I think Kylie has the short hair and Kim has the long wig.
I'll post them on my Instagram stories, but I feel like you can tell because the cheeks and the nose and the lips of one of them, I feel like, looks super fake. So I'm like, that one's definitely Kylie. But it is interesting because they always say Kylie is like Kim's blueprint. And it is interesting that in the pictures, you can't really tell which one is which.
Yeah, and like how Blac Chyna's mom said in person, they look dead and like reanimated and their faces are like scary. And she compared Kris Jenner to Jigsaw from Saw.
I know, but like,
that's rude. And like,
it's so rude. But then it's like, that's what that, like, I don't know, like
the cheek implant, the cheek filler.
The cheek, the cheek filler, like right in the apples of your cheeks.
I know. I was like
Jigsaw-esque.
brushing up on this, and like page 6 was shady enough to do like a split screen.
Oh
between Jimsa
God,
and Chris. I was like,
yeah.
no. Yeah.
Like I may be doing one of those on my Instagram stories. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what type of mood I'm in. Oh my goodness. I know you've been watching the TV show. So I wanted to talk a little bit actually about episode 2 because Grace had a question for us about Khloe and James Corden. So I'm going to play that for us.
Hi, Torry and Sammy. This is Grace. I had to come on and record this audio because I'm on the second episode of The Kardashians, and I cannot get over the fact that every single time Khloe talks about her anxiety with going on James Corden, every single person is telling her, don't listen to what people say, and you have to let it roll off your back, and they don't know you, so don't give their words any power. And it's driving me crazy because every time they say that, she says to them, well, it's not that, right? Like, she's like, it's not the show, it's not the host, it's just the aftermath. And they're like, well, don't look at the tweets. And she's like, but my life is surrounded by this criticism. She hears it from the paparazzi. I am begging people to understand that anxiety isn't just about letting things roll off your back. And I feel really bad that she keeps trying to explain this and no one is hearing her. And I am not even done the episode. And I think that they have talked about this topic 5 times so far, and every time the people's answers are the same. So I really hope that Khloe gets therapy because she keeps on saying she should. She even asked if they're a therapist for overthinking, and I am sitting here like, sis, that is their number one job. So anyways, wanted to hear what you think about this because it is currently driving me crazy. Okay, bye.
God, I love that question.
It's such a good question.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I have so much to say on this. Like, I've always thought the most interesting part of the Kardashians is like, okay, I love the glam and stuff, but like, I also am so interested by how much they discuss their mental health being really poor. They openly share each other's prescriptions. Like, Chris gave Khloe, she kept being like, want my beta blockers? Want my beta blocker? I'm like, why are you giving Khloe unprescribed blood pressure medication? Like, Khloe should be on her own. Like, and like in the early episodes, they were always like, babe, give me a Xanax, give me, like, they were just like acting like anxiety was something that can just be popped away by Xanax. And like, I feel for Khloe because she is extremely heavily criticized unfairly for like her appearance and, small things. She's like picked on more than her sisters. But the people they're surrounded with are the most interesting part of the reboot for me. Like, there's so many scenes where it's just them talking to their staff, talking to their little minions, and them being like, you guys are so amazing. Everything you do is so good. You don't need to change a thing. Don't listen to the haters. I'm so proud of you. I could literally cry. You're so beautiful. That's not normal. Like, you need someone to be like, you need help. You're like really struggling. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going a million different directions, but like, the fact that they came back to TV at all is so interesting to me. Like, they had a chance to experience life without cameras, like, causing them to be criticized for every little thing in their lives. They got to take a step back from that. And then they came back willingly, like, they court controversy. They need it, I think, for like literally for money reasons and for their brand reasons. And then, but they can't like quite take it, especially Khloe. She's like the most sensitive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I want to touch on all of those points, so I hope I remember them all. But yes, the beta blocker thing was absolutely wild because I feel like in modern day reality TV, we don't see that. Like, even on Vanderpump Rules and stuff like that, and like Summer House and stuff, they're like doing drugs, but it's not talked about. And it reminded me of Pretty Wild. Did you watch the Alexis Nyers? Yes. Okay, of course.
Yeah. I'm a big Alexis Nyers head.
Me too. Oh my gosh, me too. But when her mom was like giving her kids anxiety medication and stuff like that, like, again, not prescribed to them, and they were like 16 at the time, and Khloe is in like her 30s, so not saying that makes it any better, but like, I guess both parties are more knowledgeable on what that means to be taking that medication than a 16-year-old. But yeah, absolutely wild that was discussed. And like, I haven't dug too much into what people are saying online about episode 2, because I watched it a little, like I just watched it this weekend versus like on Wednesday, Thursday. But so far I haven't heard anyone talking about that. And I'm like, that nonchalant attitude to taking someone's prescription drugs is like absolutely wild.
Yeah. And just the way, like, and even she's telling Malika, like, I felt like I was having a heart attack. I felt like I was literally having a heart attack when I saw the paparazzi were waiting. And like people are just like, babe, chill out. Like it's like she's talking about like severe anxiety, like having anxiety attacks. Like she's describing the fact that like her life is controlled by anxiety. Like she's like, I don't want to go out. I don't want to be seen. Like we've seen how much plastic surgery she's gotten in the last like 2-3 years. Like she's really struggling.
Totally. Especially again, like all of the stuff with Tristan. Like she used to be known as like the really funny Kardashian who would tease Kim and Kourtney about caring about these things. And I feel like over the last couple years, she has turned into like a shell of a human being. It seems like it's all directed from anxiety and people picking her apart in the media, which I think is so valid. And maybe I did empathize with her more because I feel like I've been critical of her plastic surgery and stuff like that over the last couple years, and I did see her in more of an empathetic light. But then, and like again, it kind of reminded me of Harry, Prince Harry, leaving the royal family, because I was like, why can't you just leave? But it's like, I obviously don't know all of the intricacies, and like it is your fucking family, but I'm like, you all have made enough money. Like, go live out your lives. Like, you don't need, like, if Kim wants to do it, fucking go ahead, Kim. But, like, it seems like you're dragging your family down, too.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, because I think that, yes, part of Khloe's, like, inferiority complex comes from what the public says, but I think a lot of it comes from her own family dynamics. Like, I think that like she wants that approval from her mom, but she never gets it. She's like building the house next to her mom. She's like the one that seems like she's doing the most to like support her sisters, but she doesn't always get that love back. And talk about her dysfunctional relationship with Tristan, obviously, but B, Scott. Like,
that's been weird this season.
She forgives men and enables them so much. She had Rob in her basement with Lamar doing drugs together. She's just like, she just thinks she can like fix someone and then earn like their love. And it's giving me very like low self-esteem, low self-worth.
100%. And again, like I think that plays into like the plastic surgery and stuff, and the Photoshop, the excessive Photoshop. But it makes me so sad also, because I do feel like it's like everyone called her fat when she was growing up, and then she lost all the weight, and now everyone's calling her too skinny and fake looking and stuff. And I just feel so bad that it's like, damned if she was herself, damned if she did something to change that. Like it's really a lose-lose situation.
Totally. And people are like that to Kylie too, because she changed every part of herself to like fit into what society wanted her to be, and then they clown her for it. But
yes,
at the same time, Kylie is not really in the spotlight as much as Khloe. Like, Khloe has always kind of carried the show. Like, she will like give the sound bites and like push the story along.
Yeah, she'll go ghost hunting with Tristan when they need a C plot storyline, like 100%. Totally. And Kylie and Kendall, I think maybe because they're the younger sisters, seem to have the option to kind of opt out of things, but the three, and same with Rob, I guess.
I don't know if that was his choice or what, yeah. But he's been snipped out of the family.
God, I think it was like a mixture of both, but obviously we've seen that the three, Kim, Kourtney, and Khloe, kind of don't have an option to, like, because we haven't even seen Kendall and Kylie in this fucking godforsaken reboot. So
yeah, and they're gonna be giving us nothing when they do show up.
Absolutely.
We're never gonna get to the bottom of what the fuck is Travis Scott and Kylie's relationship. Who is Kendall even dating? Like,
we're never going to get to the real, like, okay, this court case, for example, obviously they would have known about in the fall. I would love to hear about that. Well, I guess you can't maybe really talk about an active case, but I just even want to see a lot more of their like day to day. But again, we just have these like set up conversations over lunch or whatever that just, it's, I'm already tired of it because I was already tired of keeping up. And this episode 2 showed me that it was the same and not much different from the OG series.
Yeah, the first episode had more juice. Like, I guess we've got Pete Davidson coming, so maybe I'll stick around to see what goes on there. The whole Travis and Courtney situation, like, we get it. They're very gross. Like, they're like I actually, it does genuinely gross me out to see like the zoom ins and stuff. Like, I don't need to see them like grinding like their genitals together at all. I don't need to see it,
especially when their kids are like right there.
Yeah, or and the like realtor.
Yes, the realtor was so awkward, and like so was I. But it's like, yeah, it's inappropriate, like 100%.
Yeah, and
so
she's like,
weird.
There's nothing inappropriate about hugging and kissing. It's like, well, actually, that's not what you guys are doing.
Like, yeah, 100%. Like, I agree. We have this weird prude culture about hugging and kissing your family, friends, partners, whatever, but that is beyond like a hug and a kiss, Courtney. Especially, I think this was in the first episode, but when she like walked into her room with Travis and like her kids were there and she's like, we're not kissing, like she had to like announce it, like they're usually kissing, and the kids are like upset about it. Just to go back to our question from Grace though, is like, and something that you said to Sammy was like, yes, it's annoying that people are just like, oh, just chill out, just laugh off the haters, like all of that stuff, because like, yeah, that's not realistic, and that actually isn't probably a lot of the like root causes of her anxiety. But then also how, so there's people being like chill out, but then yeah, there's also these people around them that are just saying that everything they're doing is perfect, which I think has brought them to this point where they think they are invincible and they have this like superiority complex that they can't hide anymore. Like in this TV show, or them riding the rides at Disney and having everyone wait. Like, it's just maybe more out in the open, and it's just so fucking obnoxious.
Yeah, like I can tell they struggle with like their conscience sometimes. Like I don't think that they're so far gone that they don't have a little voice that's saying like, you guys have too much money, you're indulging too much, you're wasting too much, you don't have real lives, you aren't down to earth, your kids aren't going to be down to earth. But then there's like voices being like, take what you have and love it, and if you like give $1 to charity, you have no reason to ever feel guilty for what you have, and like you're better than everyone, and that's why you deserve what you have. Like it's like I see them struggling with that. And like even when like Kim's on the phone and she's like, we have all the money and all the resources to burn them to the fucking ground, and Khloe's like snapping for her, she's like, yes, like we will use our money to bury people, like yes queen. Like it's like such toxic like girl boss capitalism that they get into over there.
100%. And you're right about their staff feeding into that. Like, I did appreciate, like, I kind of teared up when Mario, her makeup artist, like long time makeup artist, was talking about how far she's come. But all the other people that were just like, this is like I don't know.
Like, okay, I think her friendship with Mario is cute. Like, I do love them.
Yes, me too. But it was like cute. That other, like her designer or like her stylist that I was like, no, you're hyping her up for like no reason.
They're all kissing her ass. Mario too. Like, I get it, he loves her, but like every scene they were having someone almost cry about how amazing they were, and that's not reality. Like
100%. Just because you also know that it happens all the time versus like, yeah, I guess like at a big event like SNL, you would want people to, you know, like reflect on how far you've come and congratulate you and stuff like that. But you just know that this is like an everyday routine for them.
They just have severe like inferiority and superiority like issues
at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Moving right along, because I feel like I'm Kardashianed out. This was brought to me by a listener, Catherine, at always_striving_for_better. She was talking about how Lindsay Lohan is probably in, or possibly in, her comeback era because she is hosting a new show on Prime. Or she's not hosting, she is narrating a new show. It's called Love Struck High. And she is starting a new podcast called The Lowdown. So what do you think about these like kind of pivots from Lindsay Lohan?
I'm excited to see her back out there. Like, her voice sounds great. It's really improved. Like, she was sounding really rough a few years ago, and I thought maybe her like smoking had like ruined her chance of like ever really acting again and stuff. So happy to see she has a pod. Good for her. She's going to get a steady paycheck. She's got a show. I of course I want to see her back in the movies and Dream World, maybe another song.
Oh my God, another album.
Another album, maybe some soft choreo. Like,
yes.
I know she's not as, as young as she used to be, but she's still got a lot of fire inside of her. And I will be watching her Hallmark Christmas movie on Netflix.
Me
for
too.
Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm stoked for her. I still feel like she has A-list. I feel like a blind item person. She has A-list name recognition, even though she hasn't really done much in the last couple years. Slash had kind of, those career setbacks with drug use and being like an unreliable employee and all of her scandals and stuff like that. But I think these are great moves. Like, podcasting is definitely in a boom. It's pretty low commitment if you have a network doing all of your, production and stuff. So I think she would be great at that. And I want to see her in like a conversational light. That's another piece, is like in a movie we see her acting, but I'm excited to see just like her chatting.
True. I guess she got kind of a rap for being like really unhinged a few years ago, like almost seeming like dissociated kind of, and like doing different voices, and like, so I would love, like, I hope she's doing well, and I would love to see her like carry a conversation and get to know her and all that on the pod. And it does seem like it's kind of like baby steps into getting back into the swing of things with like a narrating gig and like a podcasting gig. And so if she can handle that, maybe she can like handle more. Like, I'd love to see her in a comedy movie. I think she's so funny.
Yes.
I think she absolutely can play her age and like just play the different roles that come up for actors that are her age. Like, she doesn't have to be a teenager doing Mean Girls anymore. But yeah, I'm into it. She does love to self-sabotage though, so I'm just,
I know.
yeah.
I know. I do worry about that. But yeah, I completely agree. Like, some of the roles that Hilary Duff has had, like How I Met Your Father, I was like, Lindsay would be great in this show. Like, comedy and just, yeah, showing off kind of her acting chops.
Yeah, I'd love to see her in like a Horrible Bosses type movie, like a big high budget comedy where she's doing like taking a big swing, like Jennifer Aniston's role in that movie, and like playing like someone outrageous, like, because I know she could do it.
Totally. Me too. The TV show looks weird at best. It is like, so, okay, so if you haven't seen this trailer, I'll put it in the show notes. It's absolutely wild. It is a show where people in like their 30s are dating. So it's a dating show. But the premise and like the set and the dates and stuff that they go on are high school related. So, like, there's the prom kind of, stereotypes, like all of this stuff. And I thought, like, Love is Blind and The Ultimatum were unhinged. This seems like we're, like, running way far away from, like, things that seem normal now, like The Bachelor.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so this is a high school dating show. And then I was like slowly realizing, oh, these people are old and they're just
old. Yes.
It's just like set in a high school. They're filming in a high school.
Yes, I had the exact same, like the first 30 seconds, I was like, oh, it's like we're following high schoolers date. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh no, all of these people are like 30.
Yeah, and it's British. So I guess they're going for like a Love Island type feel. But
Yes, totally.
yeah,
Totally.
I didn't think it looked that good, to be honest, but I'll wait and see. If it's like buzzy, I'll watch it.
Yeah, I think just because she's narrating and that I have Prime, I'm going to tune in.
Okay, great. Well, let me know what you think.
Yes, yes, I will for sure. Let's move on to the Met Gala. So, I believe it's on May 2nd. This episode will be coming out May 1st. It's a continuation of the American Americana theme. Yeah, kind of like that was like an umbrella term for the two events, the one that happened in September and then the one that's going to happen in May. The kind of like theme is going to be gilded glamour / like a white tie event. Are you excited? Are you on board for the Met Gala?
So I do love fashion, but I think having two Met Galas this year is just kind of out of touch, especially like a gilded glamour white tie theme. I'm like, it's giving like Versailles to me. Like it's just a bit like I think there will be protests. I think there's gonna be some element of like cringe to it. But there's one thing that I care about a lot, which is that is Taylor Swift going to go? Like, is she going to make her big return to the Met Gala? She hasn't been since 2016, when that was a very dramatic year for her. So
Yes.
I would love to see her and see what she wears. And yeah, I'm going to see what people wear. And I do get it. Like, I look at the outfits, I got to admit.
So Taylor's last appearance was the bleach blonde hair, black lip, curly claws, Tom Hiddleston, Joe Alwyn, getaway car situation. Wild.
Yeah. And like people are like, oh, she'll probably come because her bestie is Blake Lively and she's one of the four hosts. So
Yep.
we'll see.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So the four hosts are Regina King, Blake Lively, her husband Ryan Reynolds, and then Lin-Manuel Miranda. What do you think of those hosts?
I think it's a bit random, I guess.
Yeah, it's always so random.
The four of them together, I'm like, okay, cool. Why does the Met Gala really need a host? Like, I'm like asking myself, what the fuck is the Met Gala? Like, I thought it was just a red carpet and then a party that like nobody sees. Is I guess there's awards.
No, so it is the opening of the Met Gala fashion exhibit.
Okay.
Like the season for that. So they get to walk around the exhibit and then attend the party. The hosts usually contribute to, I think, the theme and choosing the entertainment that happens there. And I think they make like a few small speeches. But it's always a random mix of people. Blake Lively, it makes sense. I feel like she's like a staple on the red carpet of the Met. Yeah, and then like the other three, I'm like, great choices. I like all of those people. But yeah, I definitely think it does seem out of touch. I'll be in my pajamas judging all of the red carpet looks. So you're looking forward to seeing Taylor Swift there. Any other celebs you're looking forward to seeing?
Like I like to see what the models wear. Like I like to know. But I mean, other like I don't know. What about you?
Well, I was going to say, and you want me to chat about this, but Emma Chamberlain, so it was her first Met Gala this September, and she did a lot of behind the scenes content with Vogue because I think she was invited by them. Because that's another reason, or another thing that I should say. Mostly designers invite their like muses or people that they want to dress, because the tickets are like $40K or something like that. So a lot of times, like for example, Versace would choose like 3 people to attend in Versace outfits. So I'm really excited to see like Emma Chamberlain. And I remember in the September one, there was so much like controversy about like, oh, are YouTubers like Emma gonna be invited, or TikTokers, or like people that aren't like these classic A-list celebrities, and does that cheapen the event? And just all of this like talk about who should be there. And yeah, so I'm excited for more of that discourse.
So I would love to hear from you. What does Emma Chamberlain do? What do you like about her?
Yes. So I wasn't a day one fan. Like, I didn't know her content. Like, I didn't follow her YouTube channel, you know, when she had 5,000 subscribers. The only person I feel like I've ever been for that person was Emily.
You literally discovered Emily as a podcaster.
No, that's giving me
No,
way
you
too much credit.
did. She was like, can you believe I got asked to be on a podcast?
And then like a month later, she has a extremely successful podcast. Yes. Yes. But, and Jimmy Tatro, he dates Zoe. He's on Home Economics, and he dates Zoe. Her last name's like Deutsch. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Oh, yeah. I've always just said it in my mind like Zoe Deutsch.
Me too.
Or Zoe Dutch. I don't know.
Same, but I don't want to get ripped apart.
I don't know how it is pronounced either.
Okay, me neither. But he dates her. He's on Home Economics. He was a YouTuber turned, you know, actor. So I feel like I've been like that's when I've seen like a star like grow from the ground up. But I feel like I was an Emma Chamberlain fan when she was like pretty unknown. And basically she was, which sounds so creepy because like I said before, I'm 30 and I probably started following her when I was like maybe 26. She was like 16, which is like, it sounds so creepy, but she literally would just make like cooking videos in her kitchen, shopping, like thrift videos. She lived in the Bay Area, so just really, you know, scenic things, or she would, do activities with her friends or like photo shoots. And I just thought she was really pretty and funny and smart. And she, I believe, really kicked off the like anti-influencer. So like, honestly, her and like her, you know, mutuals, I believe changed like even the culture of Instagram, where before it was cool to be super curated, and I still feel like we haven't changed over completely. Like I still feel like there's lots of influencers that are, you know, your feed it has all the same filter on it, and like it all has the same vibe, and it's very curated, and there's not a stray hair like anywhere. But she would film all of her videos in usually like her bed with no makeup, in sweats. Very much what like the TikTok aesthetic is now, but this was again many years ago. And she was really just real and open and honest about things that she was going through, like depression and anxiety, and finding out what she wants to do, and pressures from YouTube and to create, and like all of this stuff. And so I've always really just enjoyed her content. It's very different than all of the other content that I consume. Right now, she's taken a break from YouTube. She has a podcast, and she's kind of been picked up in the fashion world. She's the face of Louis Vuitton, and she's done a bunch of stuff for Vogue, and she has a coffee company, Chamberlain Coffee, and she is the face of Cava, which I think is like a salad, kind of like a sweet green salad restaurant in the US. This is probably way too many details than what you wanted to hear about, but this is like, that was kind of like the summary of like her career. And
yeah. So where do you keep up with her now? Do you listen to her pod?
I occasionally listen to her pod. She was on Call Her Daddy, which I don't listen to regularly, but I did listen to that episode. Yeah, so I listened to most of her podcast episodes. She just recently stopped posting on YouTube, so I would follow all of that, TikTok and Instagram. She's dating this boy named Tucker, who's a lead singer in a band called Role Model. She was just in his music video, and they made their red carpet debut. And the music video is like kind of cringe. It's just like, it's shot where it's like just the back of her head walking down like a street. She's in like a puffer jacket with like, you know, a canvas tote. And he's like walking backwards, so it's facing the camera, and he's like singing the lyrics that are about her to her. And he's a little bit cringe.
Okay.
Like, or a lot cringe, but
I get it. I think she's like a hipster cool girl, like very influential aesthetic wise,
yes,
and
very influential. Like, I swear to God, we all wear Air Force Ones because of her. And tons of the Y2K stuff, I feel like have come back not solely because of her, but her and her mutual Gen Z influencers.
okay, cool. Good to know.
Yeah, so hopefully she'll be at the Met Gala this coming year. Yeah, her second one, and hopefully and we see some behind the scenes content.
Mm-hmm.
And you wanted to chat to me about Riverdale. I haven't watched Riverdale since season 1. What the fuck is going on with that show?
Oh, it's just gone off the rails. Like, I just sat down and like I hadn't watched it in like months, and I sat down to do like a mini binge yesterday when I was just like feeling like I just wanted to scroll my phone but also take in content on the TV, you know?
Yes, that is my like, if you know me, you know I have like 6 screens going at one time just so I don't have to think a pesky little thought in my head.
Yeah, exactly. I needed to numb all thoughts. So
yes.
and I was in Austin. Oh, that's my partner. He comes out of the bedroom. He's like, "What the fuck show are you watching?" Every 2 seconds, they're talking about something completely different. And so,
you're like, great question.
there's literally right now, there's plots about superpowers, gang wars, solving homelessness, demonic possession, witches, exorcism, kidnapping, racketeering, gambling, and more. Like, and there's like these little 2-second scenes that'll just be like, are you gonna quit the gang? No, it's time to declare war. Next scene. I can read minds, and like
why?
Oh my god.
Oh my god. It's so funny. I'll see the occasional clip on TikTok and I'll be like, is this the same show that I watched back in season 1? And it like completely isn't. It's so weird that they went the like magical route, mystical route.
Yes, it is weird. They started as a murder mystery and they've gone completely off the rails. You can tell that the actors hate their lives.
Yes.
I feel like the moment that it really diverted was there was an episode where Archie was attacked by a bear. And ever since then, it's been wild.
Literally, Lily Reinhart, blink twice if you need us to come save you. Like, they film in Vancouver. Sammy and I can go to Vancouver and rescue you all.
Yeah, I hate that I've gone there so many times and I never see the cast. It's so rude. I like
same. Same. My cousin saw KJ Appa at Kits Beach, tossing like a rugby ball with, I think it was the actor that plays Reggie. The Reggie 2.0, not 1.0.
Yeah, I can see that them being friends IRL because they're both like, you know, buff athletic guys.
Yes, yeah, they were like keeping fit at the beach. Yeah, but that was it. I don't know anyone else that have bumped into them, which is such a bummer.
Yeah, just TikTok tells me like, oh, they're always at Starbucks, and I'm like, well, not when I'm there. So
I know, and Lily, Madeline, and Cammie. They are always, since they live together, they're always like, here's our move-in, like, to our Yaletown apartment. Like, here's us putting together, like, our IKEA furniture and stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh, we know all those places. Like, that's right near us. I feel like people in the U.S. don't get that. But it's like, when it's in Canada, I feel like it's a big deal because it feels like nothing happens here.
Yeah, true. I mean, yeah. A lot of movies get filmed in Vancouver, but they try to pretend like it's not Vancouver, and that's hurtful. Yes, just set it in Vancouver. Damn.
Do you think if I started watching like whatever's like season 6 of Riverdale, I would be able to keep up with it, or do I need to go back to season 2?
Well, okay, I wouldn't recommend anyone going back to season 2, but I'm trying to think. Oh, and there's like Betty is like, she works for the FBI and she's a serial killer hunter.
Like, what? What the fuck? Have they even graduated high school yet?
Yes, they did a flash forward, so they're a little older, but I don't even know when to recommend because there's a few episodes you might have to avoid where they go into an alternate dimension.
Is this when they're singing?
No, that's I think in the real dimension.
Oh my God, I can't. I absolutely can't. I feel
Okay,
like
that's fine, but
the only other like comparison I can make is like Glee in its final seasons when they were doing like the puppet stuff, but like I can't even name a show that has gone more off the rails than Riverdale.
no, it's very unique in that way for sure.
My goodness. Okay, it is now the part of the episode where you get to name a Pettyweight Champion of the Week. Who would you like to nominate this week?
So this week I have to go against what TikTok thinks and put forth the company Milani, the cosmetics company, for their very rude entree into the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial, which is already so ugly and so messy. And Amber's lawyer said Amber would carry a color correcting palette to cover up abuse. And then Milani zoomed in on the product that the lawyer held up and was like, we didn't start making this palette until 2017. So it's physically impossible that Amber could have used it. She's, implying she's a liar. She's a bitch. She's all this and that. And what the fuck? Like, it's it's not your place. Nobody asked you. Like, who's to say she wasn't using another brand and that was just the prop that the lawyer brought? Like, I really hated that.
Yeah, and it's like, aren't they in the UK? Like, and also the color correcting palette, yeah, it was like a basic like green, like a brown, and then like a beigey color. Like, it's not a like unheard of color palette. It's a color correcting palette. It has like the orangey color. Like, it has all of the shades that a color correcting palette would have. Again, you're right. Like, what world do we live in that a makeup brand is making like a 1-second TikTok video on a defamation case? Like, did they think that they were going to be defamed because of like their association in air quotes with this case?
Like, I just feel like the social media intern like was watching the case, saw that it was the brand, and was like, oh my God, I know how I can go viral, and like wade into this like extremely controversial, extremely misogynistic thing that's going on right now online. And like, I have a similar palette that's from another company. I like, who the fuck cares? Did the lawyer say, I swear to God, it was this exact one, like time date it? Like, no. I don't feel like they did. And
they didn't.
It's just not cute for a makeup company to do something for views that is ultimately calling a woman a liar for alleging domestic abuse.
Yeah, and I fucking hate this culture that we have become where corporations have social media accounts and then like do all of this viral content / like, roast each other like over Twitter and stuff. Like, I'm just so over that fucking genre of capitalism.
Yeah, like the really sassy social media accounts for corporations.
Yes, 100%. It's just like there's a time and a place, and it's none of these. We don't need to hear Milani's opinion on this defamation trial.
It's just such a like horrible, distracting thing, and it just really reminded me of like in the OJ trial, like with the glove. Like, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. And that was not true, ultimately. It was not true. Gloves can shrink, hands can swell, palettes can be from a different company. It's not the point. It's not the point of the trial. And the trial is 3 days in. It's going to be 7 weeks, guys. Please just withhold judgment.
100%. Yeah. I was definitely going to, I think Milani has really good blushes and bronzers that I've seen all over makeup TikTok and stuff. And it's like, now I'm not going to purchase one. Like,
yeah, because that was uncalled for and it was very bitchy. And yeah, I don't want your bitchy little baked blushes anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I love that. And we're going to chat about this week in petty. What are you petty about other than Milani?
I know, I was like trying to think of a story that's like not too alienating to your listeners. Like, I was like,
literally, I'm like talking about how, I don't know, just like sometimes I'm like no one's going to enjoy this story, but it's what happened in my life, and I just want to share it.
Yeah, I was like, should I talk about like burying a doll in the woods in an attempt to like exile my enemy from this town? Like,
absolutely.
No, that's a little too niche. So I just have like 2 little stories involving my bestie,
Nice.
Richard.
Oh, I love dropping the name already.
Yeah, I want him to know. He's a loyal supporter of mine. I know he'll listen. So I went to visit him and Emily, our mutual friend, in Montreal. And, I had left the mountains for the first time in a long time, feeling like a little like hillbilly out there.
Yes. I love that.
I had forgotten to do city things. I had forgotten many things. So we went to a really nice sushi restaurant and ordered edamame, and I completely blanked that you're supposed to like only eat the inner beans.
Yes.
Popped the whole thing in my mouth like a sweetie. And I was so embarrassed that I was just like, I'm just gonna chew it and swallow it to like hide my shame, because like the restaurant's packed. Like I was like, and I was stoned. I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my God. And it was so woody and so stringy. I literally couldn't swallow it. So I was just chewing silently for so long, and he started laughing and we both started like dying. And I like had to spit it into my napkin and bury it under the other edamame shells in like a big tower. And like, people saw me spit it out. But like, it was fine because I thought I was gonna have to go like take the napkin to the bathroom, flush it. So I wouldn't be like exposed as being like so uncultured. Yeah, so I embarrassed myself.
That's so funny. Honestly, with the edamame, like, don't worry about it. I remember when I went to France, I think this was in 2018, and I went with a group and we were like, okay, we're gonna go to like one fancy, we're gonna eat poor like the whole time, but let's do like one fancy French cuisine meal where we go like all out, like we get the wine pairings, we do everything. So this was like the night. So we're like, like the servers are like putting our napkins on our laps and like all of that shit. It's like fancy music. And did I order, it wasn't lobster, it was some type of crustacean, like some type of like prawn, or maybe it was lobster, something, I don't know. And like, because whenever I've had that, it's like, oh, it comes out of its shell and you just eat it. It fully came in a full shell with like a thing to
smash it.
Like, yeah, like to like get it out of its shell. It wasn't like a hammer, but it was like some type of like special knife and fork or whatever. So we all got served and everyone starts eating and I'm like, oh my fucking God. And I was like, oh, I just need to run to the bathroom. Like, I just want to like go to the bathroom before I like dig into this like delicious meal. So I go into the bathroom and I just Google like how to like, I wish I knew what it was. Maybe I'm sure I took a picture of it, but it was like how to eat lobster like with the shell and like not make a fool out of myself. So yeah. I feel that.
It's hard. It's hard to always know, sometimes you're going to get something for the first time.
Yeah. I feel like a country bumpkin all the time because now I feel like I live in like a posh city, but like before, when I like growing up, I felt like I was in the sticks.
Yeah, that's how BC, we're not known for our cuisine.
No, we're not. Absolutely not. Okay, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for joining me today. Where can the listeners find you and anything else you want to plug?
Oh, thank you so much. You can find me on the It's Become a Whole Thing podcast and Patreon. And I do have a fledgling Instagram account with 150 sexy followers. So you can follow me on Insta at Sammy Whole Thing.
Yes. Okay. I love that. And I love your podcast content and the followers will come.
Thanks. I mean, I'm not worried about it. I literally never post the grid and I just post funny memes. So if you enjoy memes in the stories, like, hit me up.
Yes, I love that. Well, thanks again for coming on.
Thanks, Torry. It was lovely to meet you.
And there you have it. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you to Sammy for joining me on today's episode. As I said at the top, I'm going to share some updates on the stories that we talked about in today's episode. Starting with the Blac Chyna case, there's been a lot of updates actually. Kim has been excluded from the lawsuit because Blac Chyna's team couldn't place her or show that she was a part of getting Rob & Chyna canceled, as the trial has wrapped up and it is now sitting with the jury. And I guess they have 8 days to make their decision to see if they side with the Kardashians, who claim that the show was canceled for like natural reasons. The couple had broken up, versus Blac Chyna, who said that they orchestrated it with like malintent. The other thing is Pete was at the closing argument. He dropped Kim off before she went into the courtroom. And then the other thing was on April 26th. I'm recording this now on, I think, the 29th. The Kardashians had filed for the whole lawsuit to be dropped. And I've seen conflicting numbers, if it was 100 million, 108 million, 140 million, but they asked for the judge for the case to be dropped. That obviously didn't happen. But on that same day, Kim released, like, it was like a full spiral, I feel like, about photoshopping. So she was accused of photoshopping her belly button in like a Skims, I wouldn't say ad. It wasn't like an official ad, but it was a picture of her in Skims, which basically is an ad. And the account at Problematic Fame, who I have mentioned, I think I first mentioned them in the Kardashians bonus episode where we talked about episode 1, but they really highlight all of the differences between the pictures that are taken and then the edited ones that the Kardashians post. So started off with the belly button, and then it spiraled to the Kim and Pete at dinner picture. People were saying that she edited Pete's bicep, jawline, used like a heavy filter to like kind of remove the like dark circles under his eyes, like all of that type of stuff. And then finally she addressed the Disneyland pictures, where, again, I've talked about this fucking ad nauseum at this point, but where she photoshopped True over Stormy. Basically, she said that, like we thought, Kylie didn't want pictures of Stormy up. So this was right around the Astro World tragedy. So maybe she thought it was inappropriate because, you know, that she should still be like in mourning. So Kim really wanted the picture to be posted on her grid because Chicago was wearing hot pink pants, and the theme of her page around that time was hot pink and like royal blue. So she edited Stormy's orange pants to True's pink pants, edited her face, and then like her little tiny hand she made darker to look like True's hand. So it's all really fucked up, but my fave at Kardashian_colloquium, which I will never learn how to pronounce, highlighted that her shit posting, which like literally everyone was talking about, covered up the news that they were asking the judge to dismiss the lawsuit against them from Blac Chyna. So again, it's just all super, super suspect. And I was totally a sucker for that. That's the only thing my timeline consisted of, and that's like the only thing I cared about until I had saw MJ from that account post. So that's really interesting. The other 2 quick things about the Kardashians is Ray J. We talk a little bit about in today's episode, the 2nd episode of the show, and in the 3rd one, Kim gets the sex tape back from Kanye, who gets it from Ray J. And the clip where she receives the suitcase of the like MacBook, or like fucking full Mac computer and like all the cords and shit, it went viral, and Ray J commented and said that this was all lies. So I'm hoping he elaborates on that because it's just really confusing. I'm wondering if the lie part is just like the actual hardware, because MJ from Kardashian _ colloquium pointed this out in her Vogue article also, that it's like, it's 2022. Like, I doubt that the only copy or like the original copy or whatever is on like a fucking huge computer that you need a full suitcase to carry around. Like, I'm sure if it was on that originally, it has been moved to a flash drive or an external hard drive or something, but that's not as sexy as and exciting as Kanye rolling up with like a full fucking suitcase of Mac products. So I wonder if he means the whole story or if he just means like the actual computer. I don't know, because I thought Kim's reaction was really real. So yeah, I'm just curious. Let me know what you all think of that too. And then the last thing is that MJ, I want to also specify this is not MJ, Chris's mom, but MJ Corey from Kardashian _ colloquium, has been writing for Vogue about the Kardashians. She does a piece of like the 3 things that stood out to her. She's always theorized that the Kardashians have seen the content that she makes, but it's like, you know, it's like they could or they could not. But now that she's writing for Vogue, it's like there's absolutely no fucking way that they aren't seeing this. And it's wild, I feel like, that even that Vogue is producing this or letting this content be on their website, since it can be extremely valid, but criticism of the Kardashians, who obviously are a big part of companies like Vogue. So yeah, let me know what you think of that they're reading really thoughtful, thought-provoking, intellectual criticism of themselves, and that Vogue, a company that supports them, is also supporting this endeavor. So, okay, last 2 things. The Lowdown by Lindsay Lohan. I listened to the first episode with Bobby Burke, and I just wanted to say I love her. I loved the episode. She was so charming. He was so charming. She seemed like a legitimate fan of Queer Eye. She was so talented at interviewing. Obviously, she has picked up skills over the last couple years. Her questions were good. You could tell that they were prepared and she kind of had like a script, but it didn't feel bad. It felt really good. So I'm really looking forward to her second episode. If you tuned in, yeah, let me know what you thought of it. And then finally, Met Gala Predictions. I'm very excited to see who shows up. But Dumois, our favorite, or one of our favorite blind item accounts, posted that Kourtney, Khloe, and Kylie are all confirmed for the Met, which is really interesting because Kylie, I don't think has been in a while. Khloe has never gone. They said she was too C-list, and she I feel like responded to those claims over the years. And Kourtney, I feel like, is like the it girl with Travis of red carpets right now. So it kind of makes sense that she would attend her first Met Gala. So yeah, fascinated to see who shows up from the Kardashians. It didn't say Kim, but maybe that's just because Kim is such a given at this point. I'm sure she'll be walking with Pete. But I think I didn't emphasize this enough. I am so excited to see if Taylor Swift will be there, as we talked about. But I just don't think I showed how excited and thrilling that would be to see her return to the Met red carpet. Maybe I'll post some pictures from when I was at the Met in New York. looking very similar if I was gonna be attending a Met Gala. JK, I looked like a little mole rat. It was so fucking cold, and I was like in a big puff jacket. Okay, anyways, it's been so nice. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to follow along with me on social media or comment on any of the stories that I covered in today's episode, message me on socials at RTBP Podcast. And I hope you are safe and healthy out there. As always, I'm your host, Torry, and I am ready to be petty. See you soon. Bye.